The Impact of Interactive Whiteboards on Primary Elementary Students' Learning by Melanie Philpott. Modern-day society surrounds children with a plethora of media and interactive electronics to keep them entertained and occupied. In a world where students are submersed in such a technology-rich environment, schools and teachers have to be attentive to these new developing technologies. Teachers can embrace these developments by employing these new and interactive technologies in their classrooms to keep students' attention and help motivate them to learn. In keeping up with new technological advances, schools have begun to use interactive whiteboards as an attempt to enhance student learning. The first interactive whiteboard was manufactured in 1991 and was developed for office settings, and are relatively new to the educational scene. With the growth of the Internet and other interactive technologies, information and communication technologies, or ICTs, have emerged as important tools for teaching and learning, resulting in significant changes in pedagogy. Due to this growth, in the last decade, interactive whiteboards have been extensively introduced in primary, elementary, and secondary schools, which has generated a substantial amount of interest in research regarding their potential to enhance learning. An interactive whiteboard consists of a computer connected to a digital multimedia projector and a large touch-sensitive wall-mounted or mobile electronic board which displays projected images that can be directly manipulated with a stylus or by hand for the purposes of teaching and learning. Interactive whiteboards are also known as electronic whiteboards and by various brand names such as smartboards, Webster boards, and team boards. Interactive whiteboards allow direct interaction with images and text on the screen, as well as access to previously shared material and the web-based resources. Other potential applications of the interactive whiteboard are the ability to write and draw on the surface, to annotate and save digital images for future use, and printing and saving capabilities. The research identified positive and negative implications of using the interactive whiteboard as a teaching tool. The positive influences that surfaced are multimodality and differentiated instruction, motivation and engagement, collaborative and interactive learning, and efficiency. Multimodality and differentiated instruction. Multimodality is defined as using more than one mode or channel of communication. Modes can include image, gesture, gaze, interaction with objects, writing, and speech. Multimodality is an advantage of the interactive whiteboard as it has elements such as the capability to integrate video, text, sound, and animation, along with a tactile element that supports differentiated instruction. Any classroom presents a teacher with an array of different learning styles, which can be better accommodated with the use of the interactive whiteboard. Children can experience the material being taught in a variety of modes, such as watching and listening to a video, and they have the opportunity to be physically involved through touching and moving objects on the board. This ability to interact with the interactive whiteboard in multiple ways enhances learning and enables students with special needs to remain involved in the instruction. Specific multimodal capabilities of the interactive whiteboard that encompass the needs of diverse learners and support differentiated instruction are its ability to split screen, provide a multitude of text, provide many tools for drawing visual attention to texts and images, annotate and conceal and manipulate images and texts, present a range of multimedia resources, and create resources customized to specific needs of learners. According to Shenton and Paget, the interactive whiteboard offers such remarkable diverse opportunities for students to interact with it that it is considered a revolutionary resource and it is part of a technological revolution. Motivating and engaging students in education requires consistency between their experiences outside and inside the classroom. The use of an interactive whiteboard enables students to make connections with the way they use technology outside school. For example, the use of cell phones, tablets, and so forth. The use of the interactive whiteboard as a means of motivating and engaging students is one of the most widely claimed advantages of the interactive whiteboard. A main reason behind the interactive whiteboard having a motivational impact on students is simply because of their desire to interact with it. The opportunity to interact with the whiteboard increases student attention and motivation due to the physical interaction and the excitement of demonstrating operating skills. The interactive whiteboard tends to encourage children to be more engaged in lessons and more willing to participate, as manipulating the interactive whiteboard tends to provide enjoyment to students. A study completed by Shinton and Paget contained a teacher who described her pupils as being totally motivated, totally interested and focused when she used the interactive whiteboard. Likewise, McQuillan et al. Found that using the interactive whiteboard as a motivational tool increased classroom participation, as students tend to be more engaged. The concept of play brings life to a lesson in the classroom and is motivating to students. The interactive whiteboard lends itself to provide the illusion of play through subject-specific activities or games. Yanez and Coyle discovered that the children in their study found the interactive game-like activities were engaging. The children were aware that they were learning while they were playing, and this was a motivational factor. The interactive whiteboard has the ability to facilitate learning experience by being interactive. According to O'Hanlon, the most effective and beneficial way to use an interactive whiteboard is as a means to establish an interactive environment in the classroom. The interactive whiteboard's particular abilities, such as easy visibility, stability, manipulation, and multimodality, support collaborative and interactive learning. Teaching in an interactive fashion encourages more learner control, which aids in knowledge development. In the research, 4 main forms of interactivity surfaced in regard to the use of the interactive whiteboard. They are whole class, student to student to teacher, and teacher and student to information and communication technologies. Increased whole class interactivity and collaboration was found when the interactive whiteboard was used to view relevant course material. The interactive whiteboard itself, being placed in the classroom, provides an interactive social function. Also, the large scale of the screen enables visual information to be shared, therefore bringing the class together. The generation of an interactive learning environment, encouraged by the use of an interactive whiteboard, stimulates collaboration. This collaboration can be seen through an increase in talk amongst the class, mainly due to teachers using more open questions. Increased student-to-student interactivity and collaboration tends to increase when implementing an interactive whiteboard into the classroom. Using the interactive whiteboard involves taking turns, which encourages students to pay attention to what other students are doing and encourages them to work together. Repeated availability of the interactive whiteboard to students allow them to become so accustomed to the interactive whiteboard that they are able to focus solely on the task at hand. Student-to-teacher interactivity and collaboration increases when the teacher is able to navigate and manage activities without losing contact with the students. More specifically, they found that the interactive whiteboard increased the amount of interactions between the students and the teacher. Interactive whiteboards provide the teacher with the ability to face the classroom and maintain eye contact with students, which allows teachers to remain in touch with their students and maintain control of the class. Improved interaction between students and teachers stimulates new understanding of the material being presented. Students are motivated when an interactive whiteboard is incorporated into instructions because students enjoy interacting physically with the board through manipulating images and text. This increases student-to-ICT interactivity and collaboration. Through connecting to online resources such as YouTube, Google Maps, Google Earth, and so forth, interactive whiteboards promote authentic learning by allowing students to interact with ICTs. Shenton and Paget focused on how pupils interact with the interactive whiteboard without the interference of a teacher. They found that when students manipulate and react to what is occurring on the screen, they become more involved in the learning process. Through their interaction with the interactive whiteboard, students incidentally improve their ICT skills. The final positive influence of interactive whiteboards on student learning is that they are considered to improve the efficiency of teaching and learning. Teachers suggest that the touchscreen on the interactive whiteboard allows for a more efficient presentation of resources. The interactive whiteboard also allows teachers to have instant access to material from several sources and allows the teacher to flow through these items effortlessly. This immediate access to resources allows teachers the means to support the needs of multiple students simultaneously. The negative influences of using an interactive whiteboard that surfaced during my analysis are positioning of the interactive whiteboard, technical issues, academic implications, teaching implications, and teacher-centered instruction. An issue that surfaced in the research is the physical position of the interactive whiteboard when it is installed. The physical positioning of the interactive whiteboard can cause problems such as height restrictions and visibility issues. Most students, and even some teachers, are restricted to using the lowest section of the board, which caused issues with manipulating the interactive whiteboard properly and efficiently. Placement is also problematic due to the interactive whiteboard requiring access to electrical outlets and internet connection. Visibility issues can cause students to disengage from the lesson and miss important learning opportunities. There is also the probability of health issues stemming from the use of the interactive whiteboard. Students interviewed by Wall et al. Mentioned effects such as headaches, eye soreness and strain, and issues for students with epilepsy. Technical issues are always a concern when implementing technology in the classroom, as it does cause disruption and frustration. In a study completed by Alsop et al., teachers highlighted issues that they had with regards to the changes and updates in software that made their programs more cumbersome than before. They also discussed issues with computers in the classroom not having enough memory, or RAM, to run the software, creating long wait times and freezes during programs and activities. With these issues, the educational process could be negatively impacted. Teachers and students also find that interactive whiteboards tend to be slow or unresponsive to touch and awkward to manipulate. Through the use of interactive whiteboards, several researchers have found that teachers may actually be jeopardizing the academic success of their students. During classroom observations, Kirshner et al. Observed that while students used the interactive whiteboard, there were several times during the lesson where they often spent considerable time sorting out technology-related issues, and issues such as whose turn it was to touch the board. This would consume much of the student's time on task, and it could also interrupt the student's thought process, making them lose focus. Interactive whiteboards tend to increase lecture-style lessons, which encourages students to have a passive role in their education. Many tasks in kindergarten to grade 6 are hands-on in nature. Consequently, there are some reservations regarding the interactive whiteboard and the use of virtual manipulatives, especially in mathematics. Viewing a three-dimensional object on a screen is insufficient for students, as they are deprived of the tactile experience concrete manipulatives provide. There are several teaching implications that arose from the research. Findings in the study by Smith et al. Raised questions regarding the effectiveness of the training programs that are in place for implementing interactive whiteboards into the classroom. The programs are built using a format that presents model lessons to teachers. However, this type of training needs to change in order for teachers to truly change their pedagogic approach and habitual classroom behaviors. Miller and Glover agree that inadequate training is problematic as teachers are not prepared to use the interactive whiteboard in the classroom. Technological and pedagogical training in the use of interactive whiteboards should be continuous, providing regular training sessions for teachers to continue developing their skills. The amount of time required to integrate the use of an interactive whiteboard into lessons was an issue noted in several studies. The study completed by Alsop et al. Teachers mentioned that it was difficult trying to become proficient in using the interactive whiteboard in their classroom and integrating it effectively with their specific curriculum, all while simultaneously teaching, planning, and managing their classrooms. Far from revolutionizing classroom practice, interactive whiteboards appear to have been uncritically absorbed into teachers' pre-interactive whiteboard practice. Zevenbergen and Lerman observed that the interactive whiteboard was used almost exclusively as a way for the teachers to introduce the lesson. There needs to be a shift in pedagogical style of teachers to shift from traditional ways of teaching in order for interactive whiteboards to be effective. The interactive whiteboard is often used as nothing more than a large projection screen for the teacher to perform normal computer tasks with minimal student interactivity. It has been observed by researchers that the interactive whiteboards tend to steer teachers away from student-centered instruction and reinforce familiar, traditional patterns of teacher-centered instruction. The interactive whiteboard promotes the use of teacher-prepared material that tends to be inflexible and limits student input and interaction. Through the use of pre-prepared material, teachers are inclined to treat the interactive whiteboard as an ordinary screen or a substitute for a whiteboard, putting more focus on teacher-centeredness than student. This approach promotes the traditional stand and deliver method of teaching with the teacher at the front of the class. This paper has aimed to examine the impact interactive whiteboards have on primary elementary student learning when used as an instructional tool in the classroom. Research has shown that many researchers, teachers, and students have trouble deciphering what impact interactive whiteboards actually have in the classroom. What is clear from the research is that the use of interactive whiteboards is determined by teacher pedagogy. The ways in which the interactive whiteboard is used in the classroom can either enhance or inhibit student learning. After analyzing the literature, certain themes can be highlighted. Interactive whiteboards offer an effective, motivational, and multimodal way of teaching that can support the diverse needs of students and differentiated instruction through student interactions with each other, the teacher, and the interactive whiteboard technology. However, one can argue the practicality of having an interactive whiteboard in the classroom. The implementation of an interactive whiteboard in the class brings with it technical issues that interrupt the class. Teacher confidence and pedagogy also play major roles in the use of interactive whiteboards. When used, they tend to facilitate a teacher-centered approach. They limit student interaction and veer away from student-centered learning. The findings in my research bring forward several recommendations for using an interactive whiteboard in the class. Researchers suggest that a pedagogical shift needs to take place in order for the full potential of the interactive whiteboard to be realized. Teachers and students must begin to work collaboratively and leave the traditional formal roles of learner and teacher behind. The research also suggests that more longitudinal research is needed into the long-term impacts of interactive whiteboards. Much of the research reviewed was completed in the United Kingdom. More studies need to be completed in Canada, where pedagogical practices differ from those in the UK. Lastly, more research regarding the impact of interactive whiteboards on students with special needs, learning disabilities, and behavior problems would be welcome, as there is very little research in this area.